Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Career Therapy live stream. It has been a minute, but I had an idea. I was reading these LinkedIn news articles that are on the right-hand side of LinkedIn, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous, and some of them are somewhat insightful. But I haven't read through the posts. I just read the headlines, and I thought it might be fun to just do a bit of a react kind of video. Career Coach reacts to these LinkedIn news posts. Maybe there's something in there that's worthwhile to share. Maybe they're ridiculous and we can just roast them a bit. But this is going to be our special Patreon kind of content. So if you enjoy what we're doing at Career Therapy, please head over to patreon.com/Martin McGovern and check it out. So without further ado, let's get into this live stream here and go through some LinkedIn news articles together. If you did stumble your way over to this video and you want to leave some comments in the thread, let me know. I'll be looking out for those and reacting to your thoughts as well. So let's jump on in.
I'm too old for this. Been around this, broken down for way too long. Left my home for this. Story-eyed, it's no surprise. Things went wrong. What was I thinking, babe? All the mistakes I made.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I will pull up LinkedIn here and we can take a look together. So I'll share my screen here and we will head on over to LinkedIn. Whoop, here we go. I'll just do the whole screen. All right, so we head on over to LinkedIn here and you can see on the right-hand side, if we really zoom in, LinkedIn news, what it takes to rebuild your career. Millennials take a breather from work. Maybe we'll add this one to it. Is the Zoom boom over? And so on. We'll take a look at a few of these articles here and see if there's anything worthwhile to take away from it. So what it takes to rebuild your career. Let's start with this one. So this is by Kelly Wynn, editor at LinkedIn News. Came up just 36 minutes ago, so real fresh, all right? The pandemic has taken its toll on America's workforce, particularly women, as workers stay home and took on more family responsibilities. For former touring director Candace Newman, it halted her work in the live music industry, so she made the bold decision to reshuffle her entire career. I think this is an interesting phrase, reshuffle our career, because it is something that a lot of people are in the process of doing right now. This whole idea of, well, wait a second. Back when I would just go into the office and things were really clearly laid out for me and I didn't really have a whole lot of flexibility, I didn't have choice. And sometimes a lack of choice is freedom because you don't have to think about things, right? Was it Einstein or someone who wore the same clothes every day in order to reduce the cognitive fatigue of having to get dressed? So sometimes it's nice to have other people just tell us what to do. But once we got put in the pandemic situation where we had more autonomy, more ability to structure our days how we want, the ability to take care of family, the ability to go for a walk in the middle of the day, make our own food at home. It really opened up a lot of things for people. And that's what we're doing. We're reshuffling our career. So she founded her own company, Live Out Live, and it's among a wave of women pursuing their own ventures. Her advice, focus on building your dream rather than building the dreams of others. Okay. So this is one of those typical things where someone says, here's what I'm doing, so you should be just like me. I started a podcast. Everyone should start a podcast. I'm live streaming right this second. You should live stream. Why aren't you live streaming? You should feel shame for not live streaming. No. Some people should build their own dreams, and some people should build the dreams of others, and some people should have a mix of the two. Personal projects, going to work, doing things you enjoy, doing things you don't enjoy. Sometimes your job isn't going to be fulfilling every moment of every day. Even people who love their job have difficult moments. So I think this is just too simplistic. I think we need to realize, where do we get value in our lives? Do we get value from our relationships? Do we get value from our job? Do we get value from our hobbies? One of the things I'm working on right now is trying to have a life outside of work. Traditionally, I have just been a workaholic who puts all of his effort into his job. And I'm like, wait a second, I'm not taking care of my body. I'm not taking care of my health. Sometimes my relationships and friendships aren't getting the time that they need. And I need to find a way to build a life that I enjoy rather than chasing dreams or worrying about whether I'm building the dreams of myself or others. Because even if you do build your own company, your company should be helping people. And at the end of the day, that's not your dream, right? It's helping them with their dreams, right? If you have a client and they want a job, as Candace might, your dream is helping them achieve their dream. That's weird. So what your dream should be is to be able to do the type of work you like to do. And then how you do it will vary throughout your life. There's no one right way to do these things. So she shares how she adapted the pandemic by launching her own company. Good for her. Definitely, if that's the kind of thing you like to do, go launch your own company. Tammy Higgs says life is like learning how to move with the wind, know when to duck, when to dodge, when to get out of the way. Work is about the same. Just know your position and handle it well. There's no magic remedy. Keep yourself educated and engage. I agree. Keep yourself educated, engage, and the key thing here in my mind is flexible. Keep yourself flexible. Now let's jump over to this other article. Millennials are taking a breather from work. One of those titles by Gianna Prudente that, pisses off boomers, even pisses off millennials, then goes and pisses off Gen Z and whatever else they're categorizing us as today. But the great reshuffle is in the works, and millennials with years in the workforce and savings in the bank are at the helm. Hey, did you guys know that we millennials are at the helm now? Does it feel that way? I know a lot of millennials who would beg to differ. What is at the helm linking to? That is such a strange thing. They're dumping their jobs to plot new careers. Yeah, well, there is also a difference between a job and a career, right? A job is something you do, and a career is something you build, right? And sometimes they're one and the same, and sometimes they're different. But what are they saying? The Wall Street Journal writes to workers in their late 20s and early 30s who are talking about the rebounding job market is a sign to learn new skills and network before diving into a new career path. A recent survey found that more than a third of millennials plan to look for new jobs post-pandemic, with some aiming for better pay or more well-suited roles. Sure, but how is this any different than any other time in the world, right? Shouldn't we always be trying to get better pay? Shouldn't we always be trying to find more well-suited roles? Isn't this literally the history of jobs? What are we talking about here? This is just a matter of supply and demand. When there's more jobs, there's more movement. When there's less jobs, there's less movement, right? So good for them. But I think this is not just a millennial thing. This is an everyone thing. I work with people of all ages, young, old, and everything in between, who are always saying, how do I make a little more? How do I get into a role that better suits me? No one wants to be doing things that aren't good for them. So quitting and recalculating. Some young professionals armed with savings, maybe that's the big difference, is that there's some savings that we're armed with, are walking away from jobs before they line up new ones. The trend runs counter to the conventional wisdom that you should never leave a job before having another one lined up. This is old wisdom. And it really is, it's true if you don't have the savings. It is very, very difficult to get a job. It's more difficult to get a job when you don't have a job than to get a job when you have a job. And I think the problem with that is that a lot of people think that you can't job search when you have a job because you have to hide it from your employer, and there's stress and there's all these different things. So, we're constantly, it's a grass is greener on the other side thing. But I will say, I was given the wisdom as a kid, when I was younger, that I shouldn't quit until I had something else lined up. However, the environment that I was in was not good. So getting out of that environment made it easier for me to job search, but didn't make the job search easy because I was losing money, a very expensive apartment at the time. There's a lot of things you have to think about. But These folks who say they are either burned out or lost their passion see things differently. They say, I don't have the time or energy to devote myself to the search the way I want to. And I do feel optimistic because there's so many jobs out there. I would push against this. I think you should always have something going on outside of your job search, even if it's a small project or a freelance business or a volunteer gig or a professional organization you're a part of. Never go full zero. Never go complete quit. Even when I quit my job to go find a job, I had a project I was working on that kept me grounded, that kept my mind active beyond the job search, because the job search is mind numbing and it will destroy your mental state. 3 months, 6 months in, when you still haven't found a job, you're starting to get some financial worries. You're starting to think things are a little bit shaky. You're maybe trying to dedicate 8 hours a day, right? Treat the job search like a full-time job. Terrible advice, because people that I know that spend 8 hours a day job seeking are having the biggest breakdowns. So it's great that you feel optimistic, but always have something that's keeping you active. Because when I went and applied for those jobs, they're all going to ask you, what are you currently doing? And if your only answer is looking for a job, not a great answer. So it's better to have a job. And if you don't want to have that job because it's bad for you, it's toxic, whatever, have a project, a personal brand, a personal freelance gig that you're working on, something to keep you active in your profession. So you have stories to tell in the interview and you're not just talking about something you did 3-6 months ago. Now, shifting over to how to break into tech, article number 3 or 4 that we're on here. The technology industry is known to be a field with lucrative salaries and skills shortages. Fortunately for job seekers, many tech companies are trying to build on-ramps into the industry through free or low-cost training programs, according to the latest edition of Get Hired. For example, Google Career Certificates. What are these? New things. Job-ready skills you can put to work. No experience necessary. Learn at your own pace. Stand out to employers. A path to in-demand jobs. IT support, data analytics, project management, UX design, Android development. All great things. How much do they help? It depends on how well you can sell it. The big thing I would want to point out about these types of certifications and things like that is that getting the certification doesn't get you the job. Getting the certification gets you a thing to talk about in interviews, to reference when asked questions. Don't think that the certification is going to get you the job. The certification will not be noticed by anyone until you bring it up, until you talk about it, until you make it part of your sales pitch and your story. So if you really want to build your career, don't just get the certification, learn how to sell that certification, right? You know, even getting a college degree. How many of you are using your college degree on a daily basis? A lot of people would say that they're not. So if you want to move into the tech industry, you got to tell your story. You got to get your pitch together. You really got to understand what it is that you're doing and how to get that point across. All right. Is the Zoom boom over? What do you think? Video conferencing system Zoom has reported a quarterly revenue of $1 billion. Good for them. They're taking my paycheck. While the 54% increase in revenue does not match the company's growth from a year earlier, when its services made it ubiquitous during the pandemic, Zoom said they're seeing signs of demand easing as smaller companies start to meet back in person rather than on screens. Well, Delta might be messing with that, but this was only 6 hours ago, so who knows what they're pulling from here. Zoom is turning into Kleenex, right? It's just the name for any virtual software, and there's going to be many, many, many more virtual software solutions coming out in the years to come, because everyone wants to get into this field, and Zoom is going to have a lot of competition. I know for therapists, they're using a different system that's a little more private. Teachers are using different systems. I just talked to someone who's building an app that uses phone calls instead of video calls, because there's been stats that say people are really stressed out having to show their video all the time. And that sometimes, hey, maybe we can just do a phone conference. We don't all have to have our videos on with some sort of a background going, right? pretty incredible that such a small company would have a global impact in the last 18 months. I think that that's pretty cool and pretty true. And it's amazing that they won when Skype should have, because Skype had so much market share at the beginning. But man, Skype really just never got their act together. It's a total bomb. All right. So a bold move to rein in tech giants. I'm going to skip this one. I don't know if that's really job. All right. And we're going to end on this one. Confident workers have a secret. Are you feeling like you're lacking confidence? Because Kelly Wynn, editor at LinkedIn News, has articles coming out all the time. Honestly, I think the lack of confidence is because all these articles are telling you that you suck all the time and that you need more experience and that you need more of everything. And all these job boards are saying you're never enough. And we went with someone with more experience and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot. It's a whole lot going on, right? So we all have colleagues who seem like they've got everything figured out. It can be pretty intimidating. As a coach, someone who works with people from the age of 17 all the way to the age of 65, I'm telling you, no one has their shit figured out. Even the people that seem to have everything figured out, their marriage falls apart or their kids hate them or something. So anytime I get that thought of, hey, this person's got everything figured out, I go, how's their relationship with their parents? How's their relationship with their kids? How's their relationship with their partner? How's their relationship with their coworkers? How's their relationship with other areas of their life? Are they taking care of their health and doing the job and making a ton of money and volunteering and spending time with friends and spending time at home? No one has everything. Everyone makes sacrifices in some way, shapes, or forms. So you either take less money to have a more well-rounded life, or you make more money and you just work all the time. Everyone's got their thing. No one's perfect. The problem is that in our heads, we take a little from person A and a little from person B and a little from person C. They have the fitness thing. They have the money thing. They have the family thing. We merge it all together in our head of this perfect human that we could never, ever amount to. And then suddenly we have imposter syndrome about everything in our life and we feel crappy about ourselves. This is social media in a nutshell. So, confident workers have a secret. Let's find out what it is. Ulysses Smith, the head of diversity and inclusion and belonging at Blend, says he's often perceived this way, but doesn't necessarily align with his internal narrative. He shared his unseen insecurities through processes in a LinkedIn post. All right, we'll skip over to that. I'm often told personally, professionally, and even romantically that I'm intimidating because I seem to have it all together. Funny thing is, I've never been good at not taking things personally. I spiral for hours and even days when I'm left out of key meetings and don't understand why. Chronicle every aspect of my work out of fear the leaders won't see the value in it for me. That's huge. How much of social media fronting is just mental illness in disguise, right? I often pretend I don't understand the nuances of other aspects of a business, so I'm not perceived as a threat. I have to watch something at night to sleep. Otherwise, I'll focus on unpacking every interaction coming in the following day and grind my teeth a little. Hey, me too. I rarely ask for what I need out of fear of being perceived as needy or arrogant. I often feel disrespected and disregarded. Humor is a defense mechanism for me. There's a reason we should always approach each other with compassion and empathy. You never know how people's stories and experiences behind the masks. We should all be striving for a world and workplace in which we don't have to wear one. Y'all better wear the good masks for COVID safety, though. I'm not referring to those. Be kind to one another and mindful of your labels and assumptions. I think just be kind to yourself. Just chill. Everyone's got their own crap that they're dealing with, right? So as we go through life and go through our career and read these articles, some which are helpful, some which are just making everyone feel worse, I think it'll be interesting to keep digging in and seeing what insights we can pull from these things, what actually makes sense for us, and really at the end of the day, take it easy, because wherever you're at in your career, whatever you think is going well or not going well, things are probably better than you're giving yourself credit for. We'll keep it short today. Well, I don't know if that was short. Might have been long. Depends on what your thoughts are, but we're going to end it here. I got to call in a couple minutes. Hope this was a fun little exercise for you all. It definitely was for me. And hopefully I'll be doing some more of these to come. Good luck with your job search or your career and whatever you've got going on. And a huge shout out to our patrons for supporting career therapy and the work that we're building over here, helping people navigate the emotional and promotional sides of the job search. If you're interested in learning more about coaching options, head over to careertherapy.com and schedule a time for us to talk. It's all free. Here to help if and when you need it. Until then, talk to you soon. Cheers.
I'm too old for this. Been around this, broken down for way too long. Left my home for this. Story-eyed, it's no surprise. Things went wrong. What was I thinking, babe? All the mistakes I made.